म्यूट ऑल। जय श्री राम। स्वामी वी को इनविटेशन मिल गया उधर जाने का, राम मंदिर की इनॉग्रेशन में। ओके, सो लेट अस डू आवर प्रेयर्स फर्स्ट and let me get rid of all my screen issues. Okay. Om Narayanam Padmabhavam Vasishtam Shaktim cha Tatputra Parasharam cha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Matasya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharya Matasya Padmapadancha Hastamalakancha Shishyam Tam Totakam Vatikakaramanyānasmadgurūn Santatamanatosmi Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat-padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punaha Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Dayanandeshwaraya Namaha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gallery. Okay. Then पूज्य स्वामी जी उनके जो किताब है ना, वैल्यू ऑफ वैल्यूज, he takes this last value, the 20th value of the 13th chapter, Tattvajnanrtha-darshanam. He takes that first, and only then he will take actually the next value, which is to come, the 19th one, Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. We will see why. Tattvajnanrtha-darshanam. Okay, let me go back to my screen. Okay. Okay. So Tattvajnana-artha. Tattvajnanrtha-darshanam. Tattvajnana-artha. Artha means purpose. So purpose of Tattvajnanam. Okay, that is Tattvajnana-artha. Purpose of Tattvajnanam. And what is darshanam? Darshanam means to see. So Tattvajnanrtha-darshanam means to see the purpose. What is the purpose of this Tattvajnana, the knowledge of truth? What is the purpose for that? If you are able to see the purpose, then only you will be ready for the value Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam, which means a committed pursuit of Jnanam, knowledge, which is centered on the self. So let's look at the purpose of Tattvajnanam. Arey yaar. So is it following dharma? Is it to gain punya so that the next life is better? Is it to gain kama? You know, kama means all various pleasures, our physical comforts, you know, kuch acha khaya, sensory delights, aha ha, kya taste aa gaya. बढ़िया. Like I make smoothie, no? मैं green smoothie बनाती हूँ. उसमें समझो आपने पान की लीफ डाल दी. Tastes very nice. Green smoothie with pan leaf. और पुदीना वो डाल दो. So this is called sensory delight. Okay, delight of the senses. फिर mind pleasing escapes. इधर उधर जाओ, enjoy करो, holiday में जाओ, वो करो, ये करो, इति. कई लोग को ऐसे चाहिए कि नहीं, we want to feel connected, we want to feel supported, we must know that we are belonging to somebody. किसी से हम, so these are the kind of, these all come under karma. And then the other is artha. Is it for gaining karma? Is it for gaining artha? Meaning you want to gain money, you want to gain fame, you want to gain property, you want to gain power, you want to gain possessions, iti. Security, even health will come under artha. So, this self-knowledge, okay, is it going to give us artha and kama? No, it will not give artha and kama. Because for gaining artha and kama, artha means security, kama means all those pleasures, iti. For gaining that, you have to do some action. Some karma will have to be done. Whereas we are talking about knowledge. So self-knowledge, what is its purpose? Its purpose is only to give moksha. Okay? Moksha means what? That which is permanent. Permanent happiness, permanent security, permanent anything you take, that is moksha iti. Permanent freedom. And actually through all our artha and kama, we are looking for this permanence only. We are looking for nityatvam only iti. So moksha is what we are looking for even through all our kama, even through all our artha pursuits iti. So purpose of self-knowledge is what? It is moksha. So the value Tattvajnanrtha-darshanam is what? Is the value for moksha iti. What is moksha? Complete freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from limitation. Any kind of limitation. So the state of mind, okay, of a person who is always keeping this goal of moksha in mind, that is called as mumukshutva. The person who is always searching for moksha is a mumukshu. And his state of mind is called as mumukshutva. Okay. Now the next step. Next step is to recognize. अभी मुमुक्षु तो बन गया कि मुझे नित्य चाहिए, इतना तो समझ गया. Next step for the person to understand is this moksha. How is it going to come? It will come only by self-knowledge. This is a very big step, It's a huge step for anybody to make. Very huge jump. Because if you don't understand this, then what happens? आपको लगेगा कि थोड़ा योगा कर लें, थोड़ा सेवा कर लें, कुछ ना कुछ कर लें, maybe I can stand on my head, कुछ ना कुछ कर लें, मुझे मोक्ष हो जाएगी. Okay? Or maybe some bhakti. Lot of bhakti is going to give us this moksha iti. That's because the person has not understood what is the nature of the problem. And therefore, what is the solution, both have not been understood. Right? Okay. So let's look at that. Supposing moksha is to be gained, supposing moksha was to be gained by some karma, by some action. All of this is action. Yoga is action, seva is action, bhakti is action. Bhakti में क्या करोगे? थोड़ा गाना गाओगे, थोड़ा फूल चढ़ाओगे, ना? All this is under bhakti. So, if we do some action and if we were to gain moksha, then what is the problem? Why are you saying it will not give us moksha? What is the problem? Because whatever is gained through an action is lost. Again, there's a rule. Yadyat kritakam tattad anityam. Kritakam means that which is created, that which is gained through a process in time, will also be lost through a process in time. Because it's a result of an action. And result of an action is always in time. And therefore, result of the action in time will also go fat. Yeah? Anything you take, anything, you will not find anything which is a result of action which is permanent. You search your mind. Today you can give yourself that homework. कि हम देखते हैं कि कोई ऐसे रिजल्ट है जो एक्शन से मिलता है, जो परमानेंट है कि नहीं। आपको नहीं मिलेगा, कितना भी ट्राई करो। ओके, यू विल फाइंड at some point it will give way to what? To time. Okay, it will give way to time. Okay, so whatever is gained through karma is temporary. Okay, but what is one seeking? So the clarity must be there, that what am I seeking? I am seeking nityam. I am seeking that which is permanent. Okay, that which is permanent is always free of time. Naturally, it's permanent, it's not in time. And actually, it's free of space and it's free of object also. How can that be possible through any action? So, the person should be able, the person needs to make that jump, that if I am not going to get it through action, then what? So, we will tell, what do we say? Moksha is only through knowledge. Why? Because the problem is ignorance. That's all the problem is, ignorance. If ignorance has to go, naturally knowledge has to be there. And therefore, ignorance के कारण बहुत notions भी होते हैं. So both the ignorance and the notions have to go. Okay? It may usually be the notions will go and then finally the ignorance goes. If ignorance goes, उसके साथ साथ notions भी जाएंगे, that is a little tough, because there are many layers and layers and layers are there. So moksha is possible only for mistaken notion about oneself. And what is the mistaken notion? That I am not free, that I am not purna, that I am not secure. That notion has to go. And for that, knowledge alone is the solution. No, looks very fantastic. How can it be? It is like this, if one is already what one wants to be, one wants to be free all the time, one wants to be happy all the time, one wants to be secure all the time. If one is already that, and supposing you say, no, I want to be that, that means what? It means you're ignorant. आपको अपने बारे में पता नहीं है. It's like the 10th man. Yeah, the 10th man story. I'm not going to repeat the 10th man story. It is like the 10th man. The 10th man thought that he was lost. Right? And because he thought he was lost, he's searching. He's searching. Where is the 10th man? Where is the 10th man? Who is the 10th man? Iti, this fellow is searching. When he himself was the 10th man. So, only the knowledge that he alone is the 10th man is going to free him from the notion that the 10th man is lost. Because the problem was his ignorance of himself being the 10th man. That's all. Iti. So, this person who wants Nityam has to be able to figure out, okay, that he has to seek knowledge of the self. Only then we have this value of Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam, which is why Puja Swamiji took it backwards, So let's look at this. Okay. Okay. Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. Adhyatma. What does Adhyatma means? Adhyatma means centered on oneself. That is the meaning of Adhyatma. Okay. So what is Adhyatma Jnanam? Knowledge which is centered on oneself. And Nityatva means indicates constancy. It indicates a committed pursuit. Means hamesha you're in the pursuit. It's constant pursuit. Constant pursuit of what? Adhyatma Jnanam. Knowledge which is centered on the self. Okay. So constancy or steadfastness with reference to the self. Now there are two types of knowledge. One is knowledge with reference to anatma, what is not the self, and the other is knowledge with reference to self, what is the self, iti. So the knowledge with reference to self is called in Shastra as Paravidya. And the knowledge with reference to non-self is called as Aparavidya. So we have these two types of knowledge, Paravidya and Aparavidya. And both types of knowledge are required. When we are baby, हम छोटे हैं, तब तो हमें कोई knowledge है ही नहीं, ना हमें अपने आप के बारे में knowledge है, nor do we know anything about the self knowledge. And as we grow up, we are going to gain knowledge about what? We gain Aparavidya. We gain knowledge about the world. We gain knowledge about our body and mind also. Both of it. We gain knowledge of all the skills that we can develop through this body, mind, sense complex, right? All that knowledge we gain. And this is very necessary also. Okay. And we learn about Artha and Kama that we can gain from the world. And we gain, okay, and the various powers and skills that we can develop in our body, etc., etc. वो सब. Okay. Then क्या होता है? Over time, we may develop some discrimination. Because we recognize, we may get some viveka. Not necessary, okay? Because of lot of punya, I never had viveka. But because I had so much punya from previous life, I landed up in satsang. And then because I landed in satsang, the teacher is telling, therefore I began to understand. Not that I had viveka on my own. मेरा अपना विवेक थोड़ा ऐसा नहीं था कि आई एम डूइंग नित्य नित्य विवेक और उससे वह थोड़ा सा वैराग्य तो था, पर नित्य नित्य विवेक was not very clear. But the what does viveka do? It shows you the limitations of the world. What are the limitations inherent in the world? वो आपको दिख जाता है. दुख मिश्रितत्वम, बंधकत्वम, all that you are able to see. Okay? And so you realize that anything I can gain from the world through any kind of action is limited. It's a big, big jnanam. Okay? That whatever result action gives is limited. This is beginning of spirituality. I call it as beginning of spirituality. Because why? Usually हम लोग क्या करेंगे? We are going to seek pleasure, we are going to seek artha, we are going to seek kama, iti. How? By doing something or the other, ना? जाओ, कुछ करो, वो मिलेगा जो कामा से जो मिलता, whatever you want, whatever you desire, you will get it through doing some action or the other. Okay. So we begin to understand that whatever we are gaining is going to be limited. Through action, if we are gaining, it's going to be limited. Always limited. By its very nature, it is limited. And ये सब अभी विवेक होने लगा कि what I am seeking is permanent. Okay. So these two facts have to be recognized. Number one, that what I am seeking is permanent. Nityam is what I am seeking. Whether it's Nitya happiness or Nitya security, what I am seeking is permanent. The second understanding is that by doing any action, I am not going to get the permanent. I'm only going to get impermanent. In context of whatever I'm doing with FFD, it's very interesting. Oh, I should not. Anyway, very interesting that over there you start going to the gym. And then you go to the gym. And what happens is, आप अच्छे जिम विम करो तो एक्सरसाइज करती हो तो फील गुड हॉर्मोन्स आर रिलीज्ड. Really feel good. First you'll have oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, पता नहीं क्या क्या, endorphins इसको बोलते, they get released. Okay, so you get your dose of happiness. Tell me, how long does it last? Whatever happiness we get, how long is it going to last? All the feel good which is there, no? Okay, And so an analysis of what karma can give is very useful. So karma can get me what I don't have with me right now. Karma can modify something, which is an object. Karma can purify something, okay, whichever an object. Karma can help me reach somewhere far away. Like I am sitting here, I have to take a taxi and come to Ram Vihar. All this is action only. So karma can reach me to some place where I am not, iti. But whatever karma can achieve is always subject to time and actually even to space and object. And so it is always limited. So once we recognize the limitation of action, okay, then we are ready to ask spiritual questions. Okay. Okay. And what is the spiritual question? Because we are always making assumptions, Our assumption that I think action can give me what I want. What was the assumption behind my thinking that action will give me what I want? I am having an assumption. I don't know the Hindi word for assumption. My assumption is that I am not happiness. I am not contentment. I am not security. I am not peace. This is my, you know, and what is my second assumption? That I must get happiness and security from somewhere else because I am not that. I should get it either from somewhere else or I should get it from something else. So, this person has to ask this question: are these assumptions of mine because of which I have been doing so much action? Are these assumptions wrong? If this person is able to ask this question, is this assumption wrong? If this assumption is wrong, what does it mean? It means that I am contentment, I am security, I am peace. And I don't need to get happiness or security from anywhere else. No, it's very big. If these assumptions are wrong, then this is what I would have to understand. So if this kind of discrimination is there, if it is there, okay, then naturally it is going to give rise to the desire to know that what is the truth? Is it that I am that permanent that I am seeking for? Iti, that kind of desire to know the truth will be there. How am I going to get it? What is it? And that makes the jump of the mumukshu to jignasu. Jignasu means the one who has the desire to know. He wants to know now. And that will lead him to Vedanta. Okay, the desire to know is the starting point for Vedanta. And what is Vedanta? Vedanta is that whose subject matter is knowledge of the self. In fact, Vedanta is Adhyatma-Jnana. That is what Vedanta is. And so, Vedanta's subject is what? Nitya Atma. That which is permanent. The self that is permanent. The self that cannot be negated. The self that cannot be displaced. So, Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam now will indicate what? Constancy in the study of Vedanta. What is Vedanta? Upanishads, Bhagavad-Gita, Brahma Sutra, Prakarana Granthas. Different. Like we did Atma Bodha is a Prakarana Grantha, Viveka Chudamani is a Prakarana Grantha. Iti. So the person is constantly pursuing this knowledge. Okay? Iti. Until when? Until the knowledge is gained, until the knowledge is firmly assimilated. Because lots and lots of pratibandhakas, obstacles are there. So knowledge to be assimilated also takes its own sweet time, So till then, Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. Okay? We stay steadfast in the study of and assimilation of this knowledge. Now, this knowledge of the self is different from other knowledges, Iti. It is knowledge of self. Self is not an object, right? So that is the first difference. It is not a knowledge of an object. Therefore, this knowledge is not available for sense perception, nor is it available for any means of knowledge that we normally use in our vyavahara. Just 1 minute. Huh? बेटा आज तुम सैलेड नहीं काटेगी, हाँ? क्योंकि कच्चा है, तुमको ये सर्दी है तो मैं वो नहीं लूंगी. तुम्हारी बेटी ने सब धो ली है, पर दूसरी कोई सब्जी काट लो, है कोई जो पका सकती है, ऐसे कोई सब्जी. अरे जो भी तुमको मिला वो काट लो, तोरी और एक और कैप्सिकम साथ में काट लो, ऐसे कुछ है तो. Okay. So what we are saying is, because Vedanta is not the knowledge of an object, okay? Because this Adhyatma, the knowledge of self is not an object, because self is not an object. Therefore, the knowledge cannot be got through sense perception. Can't you get it through your eyes or your ear or your this thing? Ears also, what you get is only vritti jnanam, and vritti jnanam is also not really the self, you know. That we will see later. We need not, and I think in Atma Bodha we had taken that up, but right now we'll not go into that. So, not being an object of knowledge, it cannot be really attained through mind or intellect. Same thing. It's not really vritti jnanam. Iti. Vritti jnanam means what? It is not really thought form. It is thought will give you, it will give you a recognition of that, and the thought goes away. And what remains is yourself only. Iti. So this knowledge is about that which illumines all vritti jnanam, right? You're having a thought, that which illumines the thought, because of which the thought is possible, that which empowers thought. We are talking about knowledge of that which is empowering every thought, that which is illumining every thought. We are talking about knowledge of that. And that vastu, which is illumining everything, what is it? Does it really require anything? It is self-revealing. Why? Because it is consciousness. It is consciousness there, self-revealing, self-evident, always present, consciousness iti. And therefore, it is available for immediate recognition. It does not require agency of even a thought really. Thought means aapko dikh jayega. Thought mein you will recognize, oh my God, I'm self-evident, I'm self-revealing, I'm consciousness iti. So, this is the knowledge, okay? So, it doesn't really require agency of anything to be recognized. No. All the knowledge will do is just show you, this is, this is the self-revealing, this is self-reveal, and you will just see, oh my God, I am self-revealing consciousness. The vritti will take you up to that point for you to recognize they're talking about me. I am that self-revealing consciousness. Iti. It's like, let me give you an example. Supposing you use a telescope or a microscope, okay, and you want to, you're looking through it and seeing whatever you're focusing on. But isse gaur se aap focus kar rahe ho, and you're able to see all the microbes or whatever you're looking at. Okay, even with telescope you're looking. But can you use that instrument to see your eye? Right? In the same way, the consciousness that you are illumines and empowers every vritti that is taking place in the mind. It's empowering the body, it's empowering the mind. But this body-mind cannot objectify it, just like the telescope or the microscope cannot objectify the eye that is looking. In the same way, this body-mind sense complex cannot objectify the consciousness because of which it is illumined, in whose presence it is illumined, in whose presence the whole body-mind takes place. Okay? So the self is self-revealing and self-existent. In Sanskrit, we'll say Swaprakash and Swata Siddha. Self-revealing, self-existent. And this self-revealing means self does not need anything else to reveal it. All that happens is there is a lot of ignorance as though covering it. When that ignorance is removed, the self is shining there always. It has always been shining there. Because the self is shining there, you are able to even hear what is being told here. Iti. It is just veiled by our ignorance. Iti. Veiled by ignorance and veiled by n number of beliefs that we have because of the ignorance. Iti. So what the words of the Shastra do, okay, Shastra and Guru, what it does, it gives us a way of discriminating Atma and Anatma. So that's why we will always say, Anatma is omact. It is an object. It is material in nature. It has got attributes. It is changing. It is temporary. What is Atma then? It is not an object. It is not material in nature. It is consciousness, which is an independent principle. That method of Atma, Anatma, Viveka is given, which in turn, what does it do? It removes the ignorance. And if when the ignorance is removed, what happens? You recognize the self as it is. Okay? So the glory of this knowledge is described as a very beautiful conversation between Yajnavalkya, a very famous rishi, and his wife Maitreyi. Actually, the story goes he has two wives. And he was a great rishi himself, no? And he says that, okay, to his two dear wives, that I forget the other wife was Katyayini or something, yeah? That I am now off, I have to take sannyasa. So I am dividing my wealth equally between both of you and I am going. So the one wife was a very worldly wife. So she said, okay, yaar, jana hai to jao. But you have given me, you're taking care of my needs, right? Or till I'm, yeah, I'm dividing my wealth. He was a very wealthy man. And the other wife, she was little spiritually oriented. So she asked him, Are bhai, you are going in search of or to assimilate that. You are going to get, for some happiness you want. But will I get that happiness through this wealth that you are giving me? So he was very happy. He said, my darling, come and sit down. I will tell you. And there's this big and very beautiful conversation between Yajnavalkya and his wife Maitreyi. Okay? And he keeps on. It's a very beautiful conversation. Someday maybe I should take it or make you all hear. Oh, I put up a blog on it. Pooja Swamiji talking about it. I put up a blog. I will send you all the link of that. So what he tells her is very shocking. He says, you love me. You don't love me because for my sake. You don't love me for my sake. You love me because I please you. That means what you love is the pleased self. You don't love me for my sake. You love me because you love your pleased self. If I don't please you, you won't love me. So a wife loves a husband not for the husband's sake, but she loves it because for her own sake, her pleased self. A husband loves the wife not for the wife's sake, but because she pleases, he loves his pleased self. Iti. And then the famous statement of Shastra, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. It is for the sake of the pleased self. It is the sake of the happiness of the self that anything is loved. Everything is loved only for the sake of the self. And therefore, Maitreyi, what should you do? You should find out what is this self, because of which everything is loved, which is the source of all love and which is the object of all love. You must find out, hey Maitreyi, you should Atma-Jnanaya, you should do Shravanam, Manana, Nididhyasanam. This is what you need to do, Iti. The darshanam of Atma is very important. because it's through the recognition of the self that one is able to recognize the essence of everything iti. So, Maitreyi, you are not separate from that which is, there, which is illumining all these differences and which is manifest as all these differences, iti. You are not different from that, Maitreyi. Go after that, iti. Explains to her, when consciousness gets associated with ignorance, then there is desire and then there is action to fulfill that desire. There is individuality, there is lot of suffering. However, when that unidentified consciousness, that ego, recognizes its true nature through self-knowledge, it becomes aware that it is infinite consciousness, okay, expressing as all of life. And so in this way, when consciousness becomes aware of its limitlessness, of its boundlessness, that it has no borders at all, absolutely no borders, it is one and same, then becomes master of itself. Then we say it's a Swami, iti. Okay? Because it's infinite, it is Purna. And because it's Purna, there is no trace of sorrow, no trace of limitation in which iti, and therefore we can call it as Ananda, because there's no trace of sorrow in it, iti. So once one recognizes that one is Ananda or Ananta, then what desire will be there? For what? Because whatever desire is there, the desire is only for feeling that Purnatvam, iti. So there is no desire. Therefore, Maitreyi, one should always try to find that self. It's very, very important. The self alone is really worth pursuing. It is worth this thing. Okay, so this was Yajnavalkya's counsel to his beloved wife, Maitreyi. So once one is clear of the purpose of self-knowledge, that it is for the recognition of one's own Purnatva, which is what one really desires. It is for the sake of one's freedom, and that is what one values the most. Then naturally, what will be there? Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. There will be steadfastness in the pursuit of this knowledge. Okay. So Vedanta is a study of self-knowledge. And we have seen before, Vedanta is a pramana. Pramana means it is that through which we get the knowledge. It's the means, okay? Means for knowledge of the already existing free Purna self. So the knowledge that I gain from Vedanta is the knowledge of the real me. Real me means, what do we mean in Vedanta when we say real? Real means that which cannot be displaced, that which cannot be negated, जो हमेशा है, जो कभी उसका नाश नहीं होता है. वेदा विनाशिनम नित्यम एनमजम अव्ययम कथम स पुरुषः पार्थ कम घातयति हन्तिकम. वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा this thing. So Vedanta shockingly reveals that the self-evident, self-revealing consciousness that one is, okay, I am that consciousness is only one. That means what? The same consciousness manifesting as Komal, as Bhati uncle, as Asha, as Naresh, as Shobha, as Aurora uncle, as Sarojanti, as Gopi, as Mera uncle. The same one alone consciousness iti, one non-dual. And nothing can dismiss, neither perception nor logic can dismiss this non-duality. It's like any wave trying to dismiss the water. Wave is made of water and it's trying to dismiss water. It can't, iti. So we have seen before that Vedanta means what? Firstly, Antakarana Shuddhi, and then the process of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, right? So what does Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam mean? Means commitment to this process. Commitment to Antakarana Shuddhi, commitment to Shravanam, commitment to Mananam, commitment to Nididhyasanam. Yeah. So that's why the value section ends with, this very beautiful Tattvajnanrtha-darshanam. And Krishna very beautifully points out how important all these values that we studied are for the sake of what? Tattvajnanartha-darshanam. And for which what is required? Adhyatma-Jnana-Nityatvam. Yeah. With that, we conclude this value section. And maybe this Friday or maybe from next Friday, we will start with chapter 5. We'll go back to our Gita study, okay, and come back to chapter 5. I just felt that the value section was important to take, very important to take. Actually, there are values strewn all over in chapter 16 and chapter 17 also you will find. So values are strewn all over. But this section, this particular is the section we normally call as values in this thing. The other, initially I thought I'll take all of them, I'll take all of them, the values which are in 16, the values which are 17. But maybe in between, we'll finish chapter 5 and then go and see the values in 16. We'll finish, like that, we will space it out like that. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. How wonderful that we started our new year with study of Vedanta. Okay, very nice. And chanting of Gita. Eh?
Yes.
Okay. Om Harihi Om Tat Sat. Okay, you have lots of time to have tea.